it's a day that'll wake you up for sure. And there we go. My name is Lori Douglas, and I'll be your worship associate today. I'm also the president of our UUFCC congregation here, and that is my honor. We begin our service each day by doing this. Oh, I'm out of breath, sorry. all that marching that we did coming in, it was such a long way. Each day we sing our way in to the door, even as we are scattered in various places, whether it be virtual or live. Today I wish to express my gratitude to our tech team in the back, Corey and Tom, and to our building and grounds team, and others who make this physical space a joy to be around and to behold. Thanks also to Jim, who is here today, providing our live music, and Linda and the quarantine choir for doing our recorded music today. And to our membership committee and greeters. Greeters in the back, there's Jackie and hi, Betty, and Stephanie will be also presenting, but she's chair of the membership committee. Today, Stephanie, we're going to welcome to present our this morning's service on the life of Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, 19th century Unitarian of color. This service is being broadcast on YouTube and will be shared live on the on Zoom on the Universal link. It will also be followed there by the social time. The YouTube recording will also be available on UUFCC after our service on the channel that we have on YouTube, where you can see all of our previous services and things like that, events. UUFCC YouTube, it's called something like that. It's kind of neat. UUFCC Port Charlotte, that's what it's called. Your patience will be appreciated here, as there's a slight delay to close down the YouTube connection after the service. I'd like to remind you of a couple of simple procedures that make our service and our broadcasts run more smoothly. First, this would be a good time to put your phones in meditation mode. And Jackie, mine is in my purse and I forgot to do it, if you can catch that. Sorry. Also, for those of us virtually, you may wish to have a chalice or a candle available for our chalice lighting ritual. For those in the sanctuary, if you'd like to view the new display afterwards for the art on the wall, please wait until others leave and then form a socially distanced line from the back and move ahead. And I'll give us some ways to cheat and be social without freezing outside, right? And when the service is over, please exit through this front door out here. And our socializing time outside will be there shivering on the patio. So that'll be good. For those who need a smooth surface to exit the building, feel free to go ahead in the back and go out those double doors. You won't have the step out. So you are welcome here at UUFCC, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter your background or your spiritual journey. We know you come here for different reasons. To find community, to seek your personal and spiritual truths, to ask questions, to nurture and be nurtured, and to explore new ideas. We come from different places, different religions, different beliefs, and different backgrounds. We trust that you will find something you need here: comfort, connection, challenge, and love. And we hope you'll find ways to help others in this building, in the local community, and in the world community. If you are new here and comfortable with this, please stand or wave as you are comfortable so we can welcome you. Hey, welcome Tess, everybody. Hey. If you haven't already, please take the opportunity to meet with one of our membership folks. If you're new at home and would like to learn more about our fellowship, you can email Mary Jane, who is actually here, but she'll get the email eventually, at office@uufcc.org. Or visit our website at uufcc.org. There's some real fun things there to see if you're new and you're not familiar with us, and you can enjoy that. And wherever you are, we're glad you're here with us today. We'll now open this sacred space by turning our attention to the chalice through some words by Kimberly Ann Tomsick Carlson, who's a minister of religious education in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And after that, Patrick will help us out by lighting the chalice here in the sanctuary. We are a people of memory. As inheritors of our ancestors' legacy, we hold their stories tenderly. Gleaning wisdom from diverse journeys, united in hope for the future, guide us to trust in love as we kindle this flame together. While Patrick will now light our chalice here in the sanctuary, please join me in reciting our affirmation. We will give you time to do that at home also, to light the chalice. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our aspiration, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. I invite you now at home to light your chalices or candles. Jim Boyle, our music director, will now share the prelude. It is called Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, and arranged by Taylor and Boyle. Wow. Thank you so much, Jim. That was fantastic. Our opening words today are number 498, found in our hymnal, by Howard Thurman, an African-American minister and mentor of Martin Luther King. In the quietness of this place, surrounded by the all-pervading presence of the holy, my heart whispers, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in good times or in tempests I may not forget that which my life is committed. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. Our opening hymn is We're Gonna Sit at the Welcoming Table. So for those of you at home, you can sing to your heart's content. Those of you here will be humming in our masks. Here actually had to stand in their bathrooms in the mirror with phones and have a recording on a computer somewhere else and coordinate the two to get these things to happen. It's quite the job, and Linda put all that together with Jim. It was incredible. So yay, choir. All right, Book of Life. Betty, would you be willing to bring the Book of Life up from the back, our red book? We have a long tradition at UUFCC of sharing our joys, sorrows, and life milestones by entering them into the Book of Life. These messages can be written in here before the service. Thank you so much. And we read them in the sanctuary each week. At home, you can email your entries to the worship associates at uufcc.org. Messages should be sent no later than the Saturday prior to the service. It gives us time to get it in here and read it in the morning. And then afterwards, we actually write your messages into the book itself. All right, here we go. After I completed the reading, by the way, we'll enter into a moment of silence, and then we will sing Spirit of Life. Today, Lena Van Helvert has COVID despite 3 vaccinations. She's on her 5th day and feeling lousy, but is recovering. We've had some other folks go through that too, and it's been a quick turnaround, thank goodness for that, but really sorry. And for those that don't know, during the week we do have COVID testing here out in front with the organization. Other thoughts today, let us continue keeping in our hearts and our minds those who are picking up the pieces from the tornado in Englewood last couple weeks. Also, just wanted to let you know that Bill Howitt Sr. had a heart attack last Tuesday, received 2 stents, and is now home and feeling much better. He's breathing, walking much better, and he's actually shopping yesterday. So, amazing. And Val is doing fine still, which is wonderful. Healing thoughts for our Dennis, who fell this week and landed on his face, much as I did a few months back. He says he's okay, but he looks like he lost the fight, and he says that himself. He looks tough, and he's got a lot of healing to do. Yowie. Healing thoughts for Jerry, who's doing very well after hip replacement this week, and our future new members, Trish, what's her name? Help. Kathy. Kathy had a hip replacement too, a knee replacement too. So we've had a lot of people in the healing mode. That's for sure. May we hold these in our unspoken joys and sorrows in our hearts. May we also hold one another in love and tenderness, so that this fellowship may be a source of strength and comfort and courage and hope in the days and weeks ahead. We'll take a slight minute for silent meditation as we do so before we have the song. Selection, Come Share Together by Fred Bach. incredible. Every time. Wow. So, we now move to our offering. In our tradition, congregations exist because of their generous support of members and friends. It is our privilege and our responsibility to ensure the health and future of this fellowship. To this end, your offerings to support the ministry of this fellowship, whether by pledge or donation, may be offered online or here in the basket up front as you leave. There's several ways you can give. You can mail checks to the office, drop them in our mailbox, or call in the office to make other arrangements. You can drop your donation at the door, as I said, and you're also allowed, blah, 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 blah. We are also equipped to accept donations through the Venmo app. Payments through this app should be made to the UUFCC offering, and your generosity is always appreciated. Now, if you're with us for the first time, do not feel obligated to give. Your presence is our gift. Now we're going to have a wonderful hymn called I Woke Up This Morning, sung by the First Unitarian Church of Baltimore, but also can be found in our hymnal, which is a revision. Excuse me, I'm getting my tongue tied. Okay, also be found in our hymnal as a revision of an African American spiritual, which is arranged by the woman that Stephanie's going to talk about today, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, and that's we're going to put this version here from a Unitarian church, but there's a couple others online that I would encourage you to go home and enjoy. John Legend does an excellent version of this one, and so do the Resistance Revival Group. It's a group of 60 women who have gotten together since all the political stuff a while back and wanted to present their music and so forth, and they do a great job of this, if you can find that on YouTube. So, I woke up this morning. You ready?
A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind,
And it will stayed on freedom.
I woke up this morning with my mind,
And it will stayed on freedom.
I woke up this morning with my mind,
And it will stayed on freedom.
hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I was talking and talking with my mind,
And it will stayed on freedom.
walking and talking with my mind,
And it will stayed on freedom.
walking and talking with my mind,
And it will stayed on freedom.
hallelujah,
Hallelujah,
hallelujah, hallelujah.
hallelujah.
I was singing and praying with my mind,
And it will stayed on freedom.
singing and praying with my mind,
And it will stayed on freedom.
singing and praying with my mind,
And it will stayed on freedom.
hallelujah,
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 hallelujah.
Oh, I woke up this morning with my mind,
And it will stayed on freedom.
I woke up this morning with my mind,
And it will stayed on freedom.
woke up this morning with my mind,
And it will stayed on freedom.
hallelujah,
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 hallelujah.
And welcoming. Whoa. You're getting welcome, Stephanie. Our longtime member, Stephanie Garrett, who is our past president, current co-chair of the membership committee, and current or past member of most committees on this fellowship. Stephanie will be presenting an important leader in our history. Please welcome Stephanie Garrett.
This feels so good to take this off. Okay. I have a pretty big voice, so I hope I'm not too loud for you. Frances Ellen Watkins Harper was introduced to me about 30 years ago when I was a brand new Unitarian Universalist. This would have been the year of 1993, and it was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at the congregation I belonged to at that time. For the first time ever, and maybe the only time I can remember, there was a National Unitarian Universalist African American Convention held in Philadelphia in recognition of Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. She was a Renaissance person born in 1825, from free parentage in Baltimore. And she died in 1911. She was a writer, definitely a suffragist. In fact, she was the only person of color that was paid to speak on women's rights. She was an abolitionist, was probably the first black woman to have published a book of poetry, and that was when she was 20 years old. She eventually moved to Philadelphia and became part of the abolitionist movement, joined the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia. I'm very proud to say that because that congregation was part of the Underground Railroad. She was also a member of the African American church called Mother Bethel AME Church. They were very close together, and between the two, they were able to funnel people through Philadelphia kind of quietly. The purpose of the conference that I attended in 1993 was to place a tombstone on her grave. She did not have one and didn't want one until her people were free and women had the right to vote. Someone found a black female sculptor person who actually created the tombstone for her. And she is buried in the Eden Cemetery in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. It's a historically black cemetery. She was everything. I mean, I call her a Renaissance woman because she did so much. And you can buy a lot of her books and her poetry and her one short story fiction through the UUA bookstore and online through Amazon. This speech that I'm going to read was performed in 1866 at the 11th National Women's Rights Convention in New York City, where she sat on the platform with Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony. And I like it because what she was speaking about then is going on right now. And we seem to be going backwards in my mind. I feel I am something of a novice upon this platform, born of a race whose inheritance has been outrage and wrong. Most of my life has been spent in battling against these wrongs. But I did not feel as keenly as others that I had these rights in common with other women, which are now demanded. About 2 years ago, I stood within the shadows of my home. A great sorrow had fallen upon my life. My husband had died suddenly, leaving me a widow with 4 children, one of my own and the other stepchildren. I had tried to keep my children together, but my husband died in debt, and therefore he had been in his grave 3 months, and the minister had swept the very milk crocks and wash tubs from my hands. I was a farmer's wife and made butter for the Columbus market. But what could I do when they had swept all away? They left me one thing, and that was a looking glass. Had I died instead of my husband, how different it would have been the result. By this time, he would have had another wife, it is likely, and no administrator would have gone into his house, broken up his home, and sold his bed and taken away his means of support. I took my children in my arms and went out to seek my living. While I was gone, a neighbor to whom I had lent $5 went before a magistrate and swore that he believed I was a non-resident and laid an attachment to my very bed. When I went back to Ohio with my orphan children in my arms, without a single feather bed in this wide world, that was not in the custody of the law. I said then that justice is not fulfilled so long as woman is unequal before the law. We are all bound up together in one great bundle of humanity, and society cannot trample on the weakest and the feeblest of its members without receiving the curse in its own soul. You tried that in the case of the Negro. You pressed him down for 2 centuries, and in doing so, you crippled the moral strength and paralyzed the spiritual enemies of the white men of the country. When the hands of blacks were fettered, white men were deprived of the liberty of speech and the freedom of the press. Society cannot afford to neglect the enlightenment of any class of its members. At the South, the legislature of this country was in behalf of rich slaveholders, while the poor white man was neglected. What is the consequence today? From that very class of neglected poor white men comes the man who stands today with his hands upon the helm of the nation. He fails to catch the watchword of the hour and throws himself, the incarnation of meanness, across the pathway of the nation. My objection to Andrew Johnson is not that he had been a poor white man. My objection is that he keeps poor whites and poor wits all the way through. That is the trouble with him. This grand and glorious revolution has been commenced, will fail to reach its climax of success until throughout the length and breadth of the American Republic, the nation shall be so colorblind as to know no man by the color of his skin or the curl of his hair. It will then have no privileged class trampling upon and outraging the unprivileged classes, but will then be one great privileged nation, whose privilege will be to produce the loftiest manhood and womanhood that humanity can attain. I do not believe that giving the woman the ballot is immediately going to cure all the ills of life. I do not believe that white women are dewdrops just exhaled from the skies. I think that, like men, they may be divided into 3 classes: the good, the bad, and the indifferent. The good would vote according to their convictions and principles, the bad as dictated by prejudice or malice, and the indifferent will vote on the strongest side of the question with the winning party. You white women speak here of rights. I speak of wrongs. I, as a colored woman, have had this country an education which would make me feel as if I were in the situation of Izmir, my hand against every man and every man's hand against me. Let me go tomorrow morning and take my seat in one of your streetcars. I do not know that they do this in New York, but they would in Philadelphia, and the conductor would put up his hand and stop the car rather than let me ride. Going from Washington to Baltimore this spring, they put me in the smoking car. In the capital nation, where the black man consecrated himself to the nation's defense, faithful when the white man was faithless, and they put me in the smoking car. They did it once, but the next time they tried, they failed, for I would not go in. I felt the fight in me, but I don't want to have to fight all the time. Today I am puzzled where to make my home. I would like to make it in Philadelphia, near my friends and relations, but if I want to ride in the streets of Philadelphia, they send me to ride on the platform with the driver. Have women nothing to do with this? Not long since, a colored woman took her seat in an 11th Street car in Philadelphia, and the conductor stopped the car and told the rest of the passengers to get out, and left the car with her in it alone when they took it back to the station. One day I took my seat in a car, and the conductor came to me and told me to take another seat. I just screamed, "Murder!" The man said if I was black, I ought to behave myself. I knew that if he was white, he was not behaving himself. Are these not wrongs to be righted? In advocating the cause of the colored man, since the Dred Scott decision, I have sometimes said I thought the nation had touched bottom. But let me tell you, there is a depth of infamy lower than that. It is when the nation, standing upon the threshold of a great peril, reached out its hands to a feebler race and asked that race to help it. And when the peril was over, said, "You are good enough for soldiers, but not good enough for citizens." We have a woman in our country who has received the name of Moses. Not by lying about it, but by acting it out, a woman who had grown down into the Egypt of slavery and brought out hundreds of her people into liberty. The last time I saw that woman, her hands were swollen. That woman who had led one of Montgomery's most successful expeditions, who was brave enough and secretive enough to act as a scout for the American Army, had her hands all swollen from a conflict with a brutal conductor who took to eject her from her place. That woman whose courage and liberty won a recognition from our army, and from every black man in the land, is excluded from every thoroughfare of travel. Talk about giving women the ballot box? Go on. It is a normal school, and the white women of this country need it. Where there exists this brutal element in society which tramples upon the feeble and treads upon the weak, I tell you that if there is any class of people who need to be lifted out of their airy nothingness and selfishness, it is the white women of America. And keep in mind, she was abolitionist and a fighter for women's rights. And here we are today in 2022, voting for the right of people to vote and for women to be able to control her body. We still haven't progressed as much as I thought that we would have when Barack Obama became president of the United States, not once but twice. I thought there was a brighter coming day, which is the name of a book that Frances Ellen wrote. But we seem to have gone backward really, really fast. And it's time for all of us to rise up. Thank you.
Boy, we needed to hear that today. Oh, my goodness gracious. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Yowie. I don't know about you, but it makes me want to take a deep breath and spit, you know? Just where we're at today, it just makes me so mad. Okay. We now talk about life of the community. We'll talk about some good stuff first. Couple things I forgot this morning. A thank you to Bobby in the back. I didn't recognize you in your winter garb for for all your help in keeping these grounds sacred for us. Thank you so much. And to welcome Jen back. Oh my goodness, so glad you're back with us. Yay. Yes. All right. Please remember to check your weekly updates. That woman in the back in the corner with her musings has some great words for us that are worth reading and keep us going. They include a calendar and links for connecting with Zoom and how to get here and how to get there, and it's a good deal. So let's do that. Yes. All right, so updates we have today. Kay, you want to come up and share some words with us, please? It's about the auction.
Yay!
Yay, auction.
Yes, it's about the auction. It's coming up February 19th. That is really soon. It is going to be on Zoom, unfortunately, but the thought of getting a whole bunch of people in here and eating was just more than my little brain could handle. It's the 19th, 6:30, Zoom. We have the same website we've had the last couple of years that Fred Parmenter developed for us, peoplecomingtogether.net. If you can't get on or forget, Mary Jane will help you, I'll help you, Fred will help you get on. You need to be on the website to offer things and to bid on them on the silent auction. Just as in other years, we are having a silent auction that you can use to put up smaller items, things of perhaps lesser value, and those are already open to be bid on. The bidding will close the night of the auction. There will not be any preliminary bidding. And then we have the live auction that's going to be on Zoom. We really need some fun, entertaining kinds of things. We have been in quarantine way too long. So, remember people who live here all year? You can offer things all year long. It doesn't have to just be in season. I know Lori and Jackie and I are going to offer a pool party, but we're not going to offer it until next November. So it doesn't have to be between now and April. You have a lot of time to offer things. Remember, things like meals, people love them. Whether you're delivering them to somebody's house, you're having them to your house. Join up with people that have a house and a pool like Jackie and Lori. I have food, they have a house. It's perfect. Don't wait, don't worry that you have to do the whole thing by yourself. Get with a friend and make a fun, imaginative meal. If you have any questions, please let us know. I know Fred is going to be doing auction Zoom little classes on Thursday using the UUFCC universal link. 4 o'clock, Thursdays, between now and the auction, right?
Yep, every Thursday.
Okay, every Thursday you can get on and learn how to do it if you don't want to bother Mary Jane. But she loves to be bothered. We all know that. So, just do it.
Thank you, Kay. I have to say, as the president of this organization, that is also our largest fundraiser of the year. So we need your participation.
It's our only one this year.
Yeah.
Our only one, well,
Yeah,
so far,
nobody
yeah,
got it,
okay, yeah. Well, we'll see what we can get creative and throw in some, oh no, we've got a garage sale coming in April, remember that, garage sale, okay. Yeah, can't miss the garage sale. Yay, Alice. All right, note that on that auction, there's already listed Kay's homemade baklava. Now, this woman does baklava like, oh my gosh, there's a real argument over who gets to get the baklava every year, and she even does it sugar-free for those of us that are diabetic. It's really cool, so neat. Other announcements. We have small groups on ministerial options coming up with Reverend Kathy and some of the board members in the 3rd and 4th week of February. So watch your updates for those. on February 3rd, out of the Common Read group, has developed the Anti-Racism group, and we'll come up with a better name for it then, and beginning study of the eighth principle. And that meeting is with Laura Anderson there in the back, and it's in the social hall on February 3rd, or it's on Zoom, depending upon where our COVID status is and our weather in the moment. We have town halls coming up. Bylaws. We're redoing the bylaws we have this year. The bylaws committee has finished their work and has passed it on to the board. And we're going to have town halls for people to have question and answers to discuss various issues of the bylaws, because we're going to ask you all to vote on them, whether to pass or not, at the meeting, the annual meeting, March 27th, which is the end of the March. That's also the meeting where we do elections and stuff. So if you are interested or have thought about, or you know somebody really well that you think would make a great officer or trustee or a nominating committee member, please see the nominating committee. Anybody here from nominating committee, hold up your hand. Okay, we got Stephanie and John and Jackie are here today. So see them if you want to run for an office, or you know somebody you think would be really good, send them their way. What else? Okay, also on February 13th, we have our new member ceremony, which is pretty exciting. So that'll be with the membership committee at our regular coming up service. Thank you. Also on the 13th is a social justice meeting, and that should be a biggie considering all that's going on right now. And they will be talking some about the homeless situation that's happening, and we will have another town hall coming up before the end of the fiscal year for discussions of homelessness, both internally, because we do have a large homeless population behind us that has created some issues here, and we want to figure out how we can not only protect and make this safe for everybody here with the stuff that's been left outside and so forth, and help people who are homeless find other options that are better. And I think of how cold it is right now, and this is a big problem in Charlotte County right now that's not being well addressed. So we're going to be doing some brainstorming in various groups and places. In that town hall will also be open for any other questions or concerns people have about what's going on. And we're going to start talking about voting rights and anti-racism issues and eighth principles and the stuff that's going on in our schools with the can't talk about LGBTQ people plus in the schools. Can't talk about anything that might hurt the poor white people's feelings in our schools. That isn't the most ridiculous thing I can't imagine. But anyway, so there's a lot of things if you want to talk about and get in the town hall, we can do that there. We are not supporting any particular political group. We are supporting issues that are important to our beliefs and our principles for this group. Yeah. So those are our updates. Keep an eye on your email for these things. Okay. And Mary Jane in the back, if you're not on the email list and want to be, let her know, or let Stephanie or Jackie know, or on membership folks know. All right, here we go. We've done our announcements, and now we're going to extinguish the chalice with Patrick's help. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of hope, the fire of commitment, or the warmth of this community. Our closing words are by W.E.B. Du Bois. Now is the accepted time. Now is the accepted time, not tomorrow or not some more convenient season. It is today that our best work can be done, and not some future day or future year. It is today that we fit ourselves for the greater usefulness of tomorrow. Today is the seed time. Now are the hours of work, and tomorrow comes the harvest in the playtime. Our closing hymn, please join me behind our mask. You can hum or do a little bit of soft singing, or at home, let it go, This Little Light of Mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Think about that. That's my little light. Let it shine.
Amen. Yes. Okay. Time to wake up your phones. Take care of each other by chatting at a safe distance and make your way outside. Have a good one. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yay. Yeah.